Fuck, man. Here we go. Another week of this shit.
Yeah, it seems like it just won't stop coming.
It doesn't stop coming. And it won't stop coming. Back to the rules.
We're not doing this.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Unpaid Nobody's podcast.
God dang.
Oh, man. We got a lot to talk about this week.
It is a good week.
It's a good week, man.
Feeling good. Life is good.
It's definitely not bad right now. I don't know if I would describe my life right now as, like, good, but, like, I wouldn't say bad either. And, yeah.
Considering all things and considering how well we're doing, just in life in general, I think we're doing all right.
Life is,
Let's say it.
working on the weekend like usual.
Why? Why?
It's a hip-hop podcast, man. I have to do it.
All right.
That's
we
just
we have a really good topic. So
we got one of our favorite. This is going to be our favorite episode, 100%. But we got we have 4 albums coming out. We got Vince Staples, Ramona in the Park, Fabio Foreign, Bible, Wiz Khalifa. Now, you have it in the doc as Wiz Khalifa. I can't find the fucking name, LOL. I don't think that's the album title.
That is not the album title.
Is this the one that is tied in with the single he dropped this week?
Yes.
Because he's doing like a group thing with Big Crit and Smoke DZA.
Exactly.
So I think we'll get to that one when we talk about the single. Yeah. But they're dropping. That's dropping this week. And then Soulja Boy, the biggest op. All right. So what do you want to talk about? Which of these do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the actual important one. I would say Vince Staples is the important one.
Yeah.
Bouncing off his last album, which was absolutely phenomenal. Did you eventually go to it? Please say yes.
I did. I've listened to it twice.
Oh, that okay, perfect. Yeah. How do you feel? I didn't even talk to you about it.
I like it. I didn't love it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like, there wasn't anything. It wasn't a matter of like there being something wrong or something that I didn't like. It just didn't jump off the page. You know what I mean? It just didn't pop for me. You know, but it was a fun listen. Like I listened to it one night. It just showed up, and I'm like, fucking Purvis, I'll listen to this. And then the next morning, because like my reaction was kind of like, I don't know, it was very tempered. I wouldn't say I was like disappointed or anything, because like it was good.
Mm-hmm.
But like I also wasn't blown away the way I was by like Big Fish Theory.
That is also very.
Yeah.
I just realized he has a good discography.
Yeah, he has he has a really good discography. It's a good album. Like zero hate. Like it's good. It's genuinely very good. It just it just didn't light me up the way you made it seem like it would.
Man, no, I'm just playing.
Yeah. No, but like
I think it was pretty good.
I mean, it was good enough. Yeah. No, I would. If someone said like, "Oh, I fucking love this album," I would not bat an eye at that. Like that would be like completely normal to me.
I think it's one of his better ones, but like you said, now that you mentioned Big Fish there, you got to go back and see his discography. Like I said, it's really good.
He has a really, really solid discography. But like once again, like if don't feel like you have to back down just because I didn't love it, man. It's a good album. All right.
No, we're just gonna fight about it now.
Now, we've been talking about a bunch of the singles from this, and the run up has basically been the run of this podcast.
Yeah. How do you feel about the singles? You've listened to the singles most.
I've listened to all of them, yeah, and they're good. They're really, really good. This is an album, like the singles combined with how just solid his self-titled was. Like, yeah, this is going to be something I listen to tomorrow.
I'm excited. I don't know what it's about. The title makes me feel, because it broke my heart, so I feel like it's going to be a little bit more on the R&B side, but I don't know what to expect.
You never know what to expect with Vince Staples.
That is fair. That is also true.
Yeah. He's the only guy who's like genuinely like a very good rapper and also in those Sprite commercials.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. So 504's dropping Bible. We talked about this a little bit last week.
We did. Kind of shadowed over it. Again, someone new. I'm excited to see what he could bring to the table. And I think this is one of his like first major ones. I think
he really blew up in the last year.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
he has one album out 2 years ago, but
yeah,
still, like I said, one of his first
yeah.
majors.
This is probably his
It's
first
very
major
interesting.
label for sure. Do we know like anyone who's gonna be on it? Like, is Kanye gonna be on it? Like, is Kanye on this shit? Like,
I'm assuming he is. I should, and I actually wanted to bring that up because I think last week was the first official podcast without having to bring.
I think
Do
yeah,
you
we
think
we
he?
didn't even mention him at all. Like,
That's what I'm saying. It's a big step for us.
and he's also
Do
genuinely been quiet the last few weeks.
That's exactly what I was getting to. Do you feel like he's a little bit more controlled, or what do you think?
Manic episode is over, but it'll be back.
Stronger than ever.
100%. But yeah, like I could see him maybe having, because like I don't know, I'm not on social media like that. Because I am on social media, but just not like that. Like I'm not like on it enough to like notice if Kanye West has been posting. Has he been posting?
At least from what I've seen, not much. At
Yeah,
least not from him. Normally, his stuff comes up pretty quickly from it.
yeah, same. Like it's always top of the algorithm because it knows I'm gonna like it. I see
So yeah,
Kanye
maybe
West,
he's
I double tap.
relaxing.
Well, actually,
Could be relaxed.
he dropped out of Coachella. That was like big news.
Oh yeah, that too. I was actually that was going to be one of the news that I forgot to throw in.
Yeah,
Weekend's replacing him. How
The
about
Weeknd
that?
and Swedish House Mafia,
This is a big deal.
which is crazy because Swedish House Mafia, who like very much on the outside scope of this podcast, but especially because like European house, I feel like is just I just like Chicago house. But Swedish House Mafia is a force to be reckoned with, and when they broke up, that was like a huge deal for like music as a whole. So them coming back
Now,
with The Weeknd, I think that's pretty sick.
I was going to say, now beware. You're speaking to someone who really doesn't know anything about this person or group that you're discussing.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know them through the grapevine. Like I know them
okay.
maybe the same way you know like rock bands, where like you know who you're talking about, but that's it.
How long ago are we talking? Like you said, they broke up.
Oh, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, they broke up for a while, and they just recently started doing stuff again, and it was a big deal when they broke up.
Did something happen?
I don't think
Like,
so.
was
I
there a
think it was
fight or
just no.
something?
I think they just I don't think that shit happens a lot, like in like electronic music as much.
Fair
As far as I know, it was just they just called it. Like it wasn't anything like super. I remember the story being about them breaking up, not anything that led to their breakup. Yeah.
Fair enough. Sounds
Uh,
like Brockhampton right now.
oh man, don't get me started.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm just gonna cry for an hour after the show now.
Well, their last performance is coming up in Coachella, so maybe it'll be live. We get to see
I
the
hope
songs
so.
they select.
I hope so, man. I wanted to see them a third time. I really did.
Yeah, I was about to say the first and second time was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Well,
balcony seats. Ooh, yeah.
Brockhampton episode coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe next week.
Oh yeah, it's definitely coming.
Next week is Bel Air or Brockhampton, and then the week after that is the one we did.
Oh, bro, Bel Air was so good.
Yeah, dude. Bel Air's finale was really, really
Jesus
good.
Christ, that was so good.
Yeah, dude. It's like shocking, like how good that show is.
Yeah, no, I did not have high.
Like
hopes at all when it first came out.
my hopes for it was like just willing to give it a chance. Like I wanted it to be good, but I just expected to bow out after 2 or 3 episodes. But man,
It holds its own.
probably
It's pretty good.
so far my favorite new show this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that includes
That's
like
not hard to
Abbott
say. That's
Elementary,
not hard to
which
say.
is really fucking good. Have you seen Abbott Elementary?
I have not.
Oh my god, dude. It's a mockumentary sitcom like Modern Family or The Office, but it's in a
Okay.
inner city school in Philadelphia.
Jesus.
And it's like it's a network sitcom, like it's family friendly, but like it is so clever and so smart and so funny. And it's also like funny to everyone. Like the cool kids in my office like it, but also my dad loves it. You know what I mean?
Okay. It's got a wide range of audience.
It's one of those shows. It's one of those shows where like literally every demographic is loving it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
will add it to
I
the
don't
list.
know.
Right now. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know if there's any like huge names that stick out, except the guy. Remember, Everybody Hates Chris.
Yes.
the guy who played Chris as a little kid is like a teacher in the show, which is trippy. Like
dope.
seeing him as like an adult man.
He probably looks the exact same.
He's been working pretty consistently. Like I wish I knew his name. Like I wish I could pull it off the top of my head, but he's really talented. Like he was in what's that show? It was a movie, and then it was a Netflix show. Tessa Thompson was in the movie.
His name is Tyler James Williams.
Tyler James Williams. Good.
Yeah, Tyler James Williams.
I don't know. It was like no more white people, no more black people. It was something like that. Like, you know.
I don't know. You know I'm not good with shows.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna pull this up because it's driving me
crazy.
Fucking bonkers. Dear White People. That's what it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dear White People. Yeah, he was in Dear White People.
I definitely should have remembered that. I don't know why I didn't remember.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this last album real quick. So your homie, you know, your favorite rapper, close personal friend, Soulja Boy.
Not.
Your favorite
not even in the slightest.
You said he could throw bars with Pusha T.
I'm not even gonna let you do this. I'm not even gonna let you do this.
Okay, fine, but he is your close personal friend.
Nope, not even gonna allow that.
What is the biggest op? What are we talking about here? Why is he going on? Like,
I don't know what
his antics are hilarious. I gotta admit that. Like, I feel like I enjoy. I laugh with Soulja Boy, so it's fine.
No, you don't.
But
no, you don't. You laugh at him, and that's just the fact of the matter is that this man, for some reason, is still around.
Yeah.
He's a goon.
He is responsible for like sense. All trends.
He sells shoes now. I heard.
He's responsible for the entire internet dance thing.
He is the first to do anything.
Yeah. You know, like we say all this, but he has genuinely been pretty innovative.
Okay, go. What do you mean?
Well, like
do you mean music-wise, or like
no, not music.
Like
no, I would not say like as like not as like a not like as like a music artist. But think about this. Think about like not even like in TikTok, not even like Instagram or Twitter, going like back to like 2008, fucking standard definition YouTube on fucking dial-up internet. Like Crank That Soulja Boy was like the first viral dance hit, and that is like big enough to build entire like digital economies on. Like people making up creative dances and doing them and putting them on the internet. Think about that.
Okay.
And like he literally invented that. And also Crank That, not a bad song.
Okay, that is also true. It is not a bad song.
But yeah, I agree. Like
you might actually be onto something.
But yeah, like he's genuinely been a pretty innovative guy. But I just don't think he's very good at making music. Like
no, not at all.
And I would actually pay I would pay $1,200 human dollars to say that to his face, to be like, "Hey, man, I don't think you're really good at music, but I think you've genuinely been really innovative and have set a lot of trends that a lot of people have followed, and you don't get the credit for it." I wonder how he would react to that 1-2 punch.
I mean, with him, he's an idiot.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, so he's not gonna. He's gonna hit me. You're right.
He's not gonna care about anything you just said. He's probably just gonna want to fight you for some random reason. That's crazy because Cat Daddy came out after that, and then it was just crazy after that. It just went on a roll.
Yeah, and it's just viral dances have been
stupid. Like the whip.
Oh, remember the mannequin challenge?
The mannequin challenge? Oh my god, bro.
Yeah.
We used to dab.
Oh my god. Remember dabbing?
Oh my god.
Dude, I remember inventing.
It came from like planking or something?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
My god.
Sorry.
All right, let's get to the fucking singles.
Oh man.
I don't want to fall into the event horizon that is Soulja Boy's career.
Let's just start off with a big one. Let's do Soulja Boy Q.
No audio editing here. Like,
Jesus
Schoolboy
Christ, that was
Q.
funny.
Schoolboy Q dropped
Um,
first single in like 3 years.
I'm so hyped.
Dude, it's a
Like,
good song.
yes, it's a good song. This man, I don't know if this is supposed to be like his, like, I don't know how old he is. How old is Schoolboy
Dude,
Q?
he's
If
like
he's coming
old.
up on 40, this
No,
makes
I think
sense.
he's like older
Like,
than that actually.
like he is pulling up the Schoolboy Q like 40-year-old vibes. This man, the whole like vibe of the song, the aesthetics he's been going for. This man has also been in a golfing commercial for Nike that just recently came out. Like he is in his old man kind of
Dude,
vibes, and
yeah.
it's dope.
You
It's
know,
dope.
here's the thing though. I feel like this felt a lot harder than anything on Crash Talk.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he's coming up on
I
40.
oh my
Yeah, he's
gosh,
36. Born in
Jesus Christ!
1986.
All right, wow, I did.
Yeah. That's funny
I
because,
feel
like,
old.
what's the song? Like, is it ASAP Ferg's Work remix where he literally references being 36? Like,
And
oh,
now we're here.
yeah, now we're here. But yeah, man, really, really good song. I just love the idea of, like, Schoolboy Q being, like, a suburban soccer dad.
Dude, it's gonna be so dope.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna feel like you're
Could
in the
you
suburbs of
imagine
Compton, which makes no sense.
I have a question for you. Could you
Okay.
imagine a better person to hang out with at your kids' sporting events than Schoolboy Q?
Oh, absolutely not.
Dude,
It would be
the
amazing.
best.
It would be amazing.
Dude, I'm loving the track. I'm hoping this is, signs of things to come. I thought,
I can
do you have anything else
see.
to say? Like, because I know you're a bigger fan of him than I am. I'm a fan of
Oh,
Schoolboy Q, really am. But
no, yeah, I had a hard Schoolboy Q phase. I I got my butt beat because of Schoolboy Q from my parents. That's funny. But I've been riding with him for a very long time. I'm excited. I love all of his music. I've been addicted to Oxymoron for I don't know how long.
yeah.
Wait, that came off wrong. I'm not addicted to it,
Oxymoron is
but
like it's interesting because like I think Oxymoron is like a really good one to put. Like, is this a classic? Because like
I would say so.
in terms of just how many times I've gone back and how good the songs are on like an individual level, yes, I would say it's a classic. But I feel like a lot of classics are like greater than the sums of its parts, and I think like there's a genuine question: is Oxymoron there? And I
Mhm.
think that's an interesting discussion, because it's an undeniably filled with great music. It's an undeniably great album, and I would not bat an eye at someone who said that they thought it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this is definitely gonna be one of the albums that we do a
Yeah,
deeper dive on
yeah,
because there's so much to cover
yeah.
and
It
it's so
is.
great.
Yeah, it's definitely the most interesting of his albums. So
um,
another favorite of ours, Action Bronson, Sub Zero,
yeah.
dropped in a
Did
music
you watch?
video. Did not watch the
Did you
video,
watch
but
it?
I did listen to the song.
I will say, you know how you showed me his video like last week or something like
Yeah,
that.
acting crazy. Love that song.
Yes, it is literally the identical, not the identical, but
It's like a
it's the exact
sequel.
same. Yeah, almost.
Yeah, because I was getting acting
There's a
crazy
lot of
vibes
like
from the.
crazy editing and like uh, green screening effects and all this other stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it.
So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I love
it
Action
was really dope.
Bronson. Going back, I don't think he's ever been like one of my favorite rappers, but consistently one I enjoy.
The only reason I know of him is because of the song with Chance way back,
Yeah,
which eventually led me into his career.
yeah.
And I will say what I have heard is really, really good, but like I've never really gone back and listened to him. I would say that.
I got into him earlier. I got into him when he did the song with ASAP Rocky. He did the One Train. He's on One Train.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which has everybody on it. It's like the one that has like literally has Kendrick
The
Lamar.
world.
I think Schoolboy Q's on it. Yellow Wolf, Danny Brown, Big Crit, Action Bronson, like
Joey Badass.
Joey
A lot of
Badass.
people. Big Creole. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking at it now. Danny Brown.
yeah, yeah. I'm fucking with the song. Fucking with the song.
Fair
And
enough.
yeah, hoping.
Hey, this is one for the big homies. This is a
Yeah,
point up for the
yeah,
big homies that just want to go to the beach with it.
dude. Yeah, I just want to go to the beach and hang out with my beard. Yo, do you ever watch like his cooking stuff on YouTube?
He does cooking stuff.
So here's the thing that's interesting about Action Bronson, and it's the reason why I genuinely feel like it's the reason why he's not like a bigger name, is that he has been pretty much on record as saying like rap is his silver medal because his love in life is always cooking.
Wow.
Yeah, he works as a chef, which is crazy because like I would say the thing I know about Action Bronson is like the thing I really remember was because a lot of people say he sounds a lot like Redman or Method Man or one of the guys from Wu-Tang. And I remember when he first started blowing up, the guy from Wu-Tang was like, no, this guy's really, really fucking good. And like he really just does talk like that. Like that's just his voice. He's from New York. Like into the dude.
I'm going to be looking into that.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. So we got speaking of like posse tracks, we got a pretty interesting couple of releases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if you I don't know if you know this, but I'm a pretty big fan of Big Crit.
No, I had no idea, man.
Yeah.
It's not like we did a whole podcast on one of my
yeah.
It's insane.
And I'm also even much less nowadays, but I'm also have at times been a huge Wiz Khalifa fan.
Okay, I'm very curious about this. So
yeah,
let's just say what we're talking about. The song "Ain't No Fun" by Wiz Khalifa features Big Crit, Smoke DZA, and Girl Talk.
Yeah.
The music video is basically them just in a house partying. It's a very simple video. It's nothing too complex.
Yeah.
But the song is very good.
I love the song, yeah. And this is their second song, and I think their first one's actually better.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know there was a first song.
Yeah. This is the second single they released for the album that comes out, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, no.
Maybe that's the Wiz Khalifa album that I keep looking
at. I think that's the one you were trying to find.
Jesus. We need to find a name for that. But, anyway,
but yeah,
I was actually going to say, because I didn't know you liked Wiz Khalifa that much. I was going to say, can you name 5 songs?
Oh, I absolutely
asked myself that, and I honestly didn't know if I could name 5 songs.
Oh no, I could probably name 5 songs pretty easy.
What would be the 5 songs? Then?
Black and Yellow, Cushion OJ, Work Hard, Play Hard, Fly Solo, Rooftops. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you proved me wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because when we get to our main topic, Wiz Khalifa and Schoolboy Q tie into it for me.
I'm glad you said that because I was thinking about that instantly earlier when we was talking about Schoolboy Q. I wanted to hold on.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm a fan of Wiz. I just think Wiz Khalifa fell off like a long time ago. But I've always liked the dude. Like, even though I think he just wasn't doing as great of work creatively, like I always thought he was like a cool dude. And yeah, so these songs have been the best Wiz Khalifa songs I've heard in a long time. And my big takeaway is I remember us talking about on our podcast about Big Crit's latest album that we wanted him to get back to more hip hop songs. I just didn't think it'd be so quick.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm curious about is, and I'm sure I could look it up like literally right now, but I want to know who's doing production on these because I know Big Crit mostly produces his own stuff, and I think he's as talented as a producer as he is a rapper.
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
1 second. I'm going to look it up right now. But yeah, I'm glad you like this because I thought it was really, really fun, but I didn't think you would like it. I got to keep it real.
No, I mean, it was decent what I was listening to. Of course, it's not like, you know what my first choice of music kind of vibe is.
Yeah, definitely.
But regardless, it was still pretty good.
Yeah.
Gotta be in the mood.
No, I feel that. I feel that for sure. We got probably the best white man in the game right now, Jack Harlow.
Yeah, I would say he pretty much has that title right now.
Yeah. Today at work, I got egged on to give my opinion about Jack Harlow.
Okay.
And like, everyone was so disappointed that my take was like, he's good, but not great. Like, and everyone's like, "Oh,
he has the media on his side right now. There's no question."
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, I really like him." I'm like, that's great. I'm glad you do because he's good. Like, because he is good. Like,
but I'm not going any further than that.
But like, I just, I Sorry, when I get out of bed, I'm not like, ooh, let me throw on some Jack Harlow. I have never really. I'll keep it real. I've liked a lot of his songs. Like Nail Tech, I thought was a lot of fun. The single he blew up on was a lot of fun. I think he's a cool dude. Have never thought, man, I should listen
I'm
to
gonna go listen to some
Jack Harlow.
Yeah, yeah, I'm on the same boat. I respect him. I respect him a
Oh,
lot.
I think. Oh, I think
Doing
he's talented.
extremely well.
Oh, I think he's
But
super talented. I think he is.
yeah, no.
He also realizes where like the best fan base is women,
Uh-huh.
because women will let you be creative and also spend money on you.
And
Am I wrong though?
he's doing well, and he's
Yeah,
doing well for himself.
yeah, and like yeah, I don't know how eager I am to just jump into this single, but I know he has an album coming out soon, and
Yes.
I think when the album comes out, I'm gonna give it like a full listen, see how I feel about him, because I feel like that's how I really get my opinion on artists.
I've already listened to a good bit of him.
Yeah, I've listened to a handful of songs.
Yeah, I listened to the last album he put out. If you want to call it an album, Sweet Action. It's more like
Yeah.
an EP.
I thought he just put
But
out
I've actually
EPs
given
and like mixtapes.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. And I mean, they're titled albums, but like I said, they're pretty much an EP.
Oh yeah, no, that's what they all say. I remember hearing like a few songs off of this.
Wait,
Yeah,
no, there's something also that dropped. That's what all say.
yeah,
Back in 2020. This
yeah,
is a full album.
yeah. That's a full album. Okay, so this is his second album.
Yeah.
And then there's Sweet Action, Confetti, Loose. Man, I did not like when I first saw this kid like getting popular. I did not think he'd probably become like. Can I say something? Can I give a hot take?
All right.
I think he's like.
Let's do it.
I think he's like Drake's heir apparent.
He's what?
He's like Drake's heir apparent. Like he's the guy who's gonna like take his role.
Okay.
Not necessarily like replace Drake or like anything. Just
I understand what you mean. Right.
Filling that hole in
With the
culture.
same path. Yeah.
Absolutely the same path.
Wow. I didn't. Huh.
Yeah.
I got to sit on that one. Because you're not wrong. And I feel like what he's done very well for himself, maybe this was a marketing type of thing, and he just did it correctly, but it's who he placed himself around.
Yeah.
And as you see, everyone on social media, like he said, he's following the same Drake role. He's hanging out with Drake constantly.
Yeah.
He's posting himself with Lil Nas X constantly.
Yeah.
He has music with him. Like he surrounded himself with a lot of talent.
He really is. Yeah. Oh yeah. He has a great career in front of him.
Yeah, he just freaking worked with Kanye, even though that
was real bad.
Album.
Yeah, it's barely an album.
It's not even gonna call it an album.
Yeah. I remember the last thing he said.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. Ugh. Wait. Fuck, man. Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway on this is that Jack Harlow has definitely done a better job of winning over men than Drake did in his early days. Because I remember, like, when Drake first hit the scene, he was, like, hated. Like, dudes hated Drake.
Really?
Yeah, when he first hit the scene, 100%. He was everyone's punching bag until Take Care came out.
Which is a classic.
Yeah, and then maybe even after that. Like, I think people start... I know that's when I was like, oh, fuck, Drake's extremely good. But he was not... A lot of, like, the older people. Like, the people who were, like, my age, like, a lot of my friends who were, like, really into music, when I was, like, 17, 18 when he was coming out, they loved him. I hung out with a lot of Arab folks, and they all tried to be Drake, and I don't know why. But
I'm just looking now, and I'm trying to think if I can recall. Because the thing is,
if you want like proof of it,
everyone around me did like Drake.
Yeah, but how old were you?
Younger than you.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah. If you want like concrete evidence, I sent you that video by FD Singlifier. Great,
the long one?
Yeah, great YouTuber. Go check him out. He actually just did another one about Will Smith. That's incredible.
Oh boy.
Yeah, okay. And it's crazy because he was working on it while the whole Oscar thing happened. So it's it's really charged. I fucking adore it. Dude is making the best content on YouTube right now.
Maybe we'll link one of his videos or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll throw a link for that into the thing. Remind me to do that. If I post this without it, I'll go back and I'll change it.
Gotcha. I'll put it in the notes now.
All right. Now, Purvis, can you do me a favor?
Yes, sir. What's good?
Who's Bia?
I'm not even gonna hold you to it, bro. I do not know. I
And
really don't. I tried looking
also,
it up.
who's this guy? I won't do this joke. Is this a sequel to The London? Is this a reboot of that Young Thug song?
Dude, I don't know how this would transition over to that, but I'm down to see it.
Yeah.
No. I don't know who B is. I really don't. I've spent a decent amount of time trying to find out who she was. But anytime I look up stuff about J. Cole right now,
oh, it's a she.
It's the mixtape, and it's amazing. Yes.
Oh wow. Is it like
I don't know who she is.
Is she a rapper or is it more R&B?
Girl, no, I'm stopping now. I'm going to listen and find her. I don't know who she is.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does. She's probably an AI, an illusion.
Yeah, I don't know how she's connected to J. Cole, and got a J. Cole feature. I really don't. I wish I knew who she was, but I don't. I'm not even going to lie. So I'm excited to listen to it and see what it is. She says an album is also on the way, so who knows? Maybe this will be an intro to whoever she is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love meeting new artists.
Oh. Watch. This is gonna happen. We're gonna come back like next week, and we're all gonna sit.
We're gonna sit at our computers and call each other over Discord,
and we're gonna be like, "Oh, this girl is like legit. Like she's super famous and popular, and we just don't know who she is."
Yeah, she's gonna blow up. We're gonna any shreds of doubt we have are gonna blow up in our face like an IED. All right, so let's get to the news. So
there wasn't a ton.
Yeah, there really wasn't. So I think the biggest one is what dropped this morning with Donald Glover doing an interview of himself for the Interview magazine.
Did you see anything about this by chance?
I saw some. So like today's been a real busy day for me. The only thing I saw is I saw some people roasting him on Twitter for it.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think I've seen anything like this before, but yeah he legit interviewed himself.
Well, that's the premise of the magazine. Like the magazine does that.
Oh, okay. Then I just found this magazine because I had no idea.
I was unaware.
I was like, "What is going on?"
That is literally the only thing I know about this. Is that the magazine does this thing where they like do interviews of themselves. At least I think so. Like,
okay,
yeah,
I just learned something new. But at least I hadn't heard of it before. But it's pretty weird to me that that's happening. And he also released 4 photos that always go with these kind of interviews. And one of them has like an underwear with canes and wings. It's weird. It's really weird. So maybe that's why he was getting roasted. But
yeah, I think there was a comment about black women. I don't want to unpack right now.
I see.
Yeah, it was about and he's always kind of been sussy on that topic. So
that is also true. So I hope he didn't say anything too bad.
Yeah, I have it pulled up now. I'll probably read it tomorrow morning with like my morning coffee. I'm such an old person. God damn.
Yeah, I was about to say, what did you just say, bro?
Dude, I have a morning coffee. Yeah, especially at work because it's like they have a full coffee bar and it's free. So it's like, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you drink coffee?
I don't really drink coffee. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, but if you had an access to a Starbucks and it cost you literally nothing, would you start drinking coffee?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page because some people think I'm crazy.
No, yeah, I would probably at least something. I would just try something.
Dude, I know it's like very passe, but I love a good latte.
Fair enough.
Yeah, dude, it's delicious.
I'm not mad at you.
It's delicious. Gets me through the day. Perfect. A good oat milk latte goes great with some rap music. Yeah, I drink 2 of those a day.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you. But that's pretty.
Yeah, that's pretty much all. That's pretty much it, except for that Schoolboy Q Tiger Woods Nike commercial. Which
Oh yeah.
it's always cool to see brands do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I did watch the whole video. That this I think I brought it up earlier when I was talking about him being like 40, but like no, he literally is like he's got the whole persona and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be the whole theme of the next album. And this, even though obviously this is like a legit brand marketing thing from Nike, like it's obviously has nothing to promote with music, but it would line up perfectly with like the Soccer Dad single that just came out.
Yeah, no, it really is like it really does like pull that whole aesthetic. And it is interesting like how you see a lot of artists like starting to weave the aesthetics of their albums in like across different platforms and different things. Like the best example is this week something I listened to a bunch on YouTube was all like the earlier versions of Hurricane, right?
Mm-hmm.
You notice that there's like at the end of the final version that has the weekend on it, there's like a little refrain he does where he talks about the dawn. And like that's not in the earlier versions. Everything else he does were in the previous versions, but not that. And it leads me to believe that that had to be like some kind of hint towards Dawn FM. And I think like, oh, this guy went on Donda and in a very organic way weaved in something to promote his next project. How sick is that? Like,
that's actually really dope.
So yeah, I think that's cool how artists are starting to do that. I just hope it doesn't get played out because I think it could.
I was gonna say, even now you see it way more often than you used to.
Oh yeah.
Basically, all of the artists are in multiple industries now. It's not just like you're in the music industry.
It's all about the multi hyphenate.
Mm-hmm.
That's why someone like Donald Glover is just so successful because like he can just do all of it. All right, are we ready to dive into this one?
Yes, sir. This is a good one.
All right, man. So tonight we're going to be talking about the legacy of Mac Miller. Undeniably, one of the chief voices of my generation.
Yeah, I would say everything about Mac Miller is just perfect. The way his career transitioned with us, I think, is amazing.
Yeah,
and we get to legitimately grow up with Mac Miller.
It is an interesting come up. Do we want to start at the beginning? Because I'm very curious about your first memory. Like, when was the first time you heard Mac Miller?
Yeah, I would say one of the first times I heard Mac Miller. I've mentioned before, like on the podcast, I didn't really have much in terms of portable music players. But the first thing that I owned was that like held music and played music was a PlayStation Portable. Believe it or not, it was a PSP that was handed down to me.
Oh wow!
And yeah, and in the beginning, it used to only be gospel music because my parents would monitor it. But once someone actually taught me how to like use music and download it, I would say Mac Miller was probably one of the first five people I would add and like actually listen to all this music because at least for me at my age, Mac Miller has always been a couple of years forward, and so I was able to grow up where it was like this is the person I want to be once I get there, and that consistently happened throughout his career.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's super dope when I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, when I was in middle school, I listened to Mac Miller to think this is what I'm going to be like in high school. This is who I want to be like, to be like cool or whatever in high school. When you get to high school, it's like, all right, this is what I'm going to do in college because you're listening to him. And like it just kind of transitions. And like it's insane how you can listen to this type of music, hear how it develops and changes throughout his careers appropriately to his actual experiences. And then you live those experiences like, man, he was like really serious when he was like 23 and saying, oh, I was doing whatever.
Yeah.
In college. Like it just lines up very well. And that's why I feel like I have such a close tie to him.
So, like, what was that first music that you were listening to?
I think one of the first things I was listening to was the Kids mixtape. That was me, like, literally, like, not a baby, but musically, like, I was a baby. And it was like the person, like, oh, I want to grow up and be like him. Like, I honestly don't know anything about him, like what he does throughout his, like, actual life.
Yeah.
Like back then, it was MySpace. I didn't have a MySpace.
Yeah.
But in terms of music, it's like, oh, like this is really dope music. This is what I want to be.
That's so fucking interesting because Mac Miller was born the same year I was.
Right. So you have a very different.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because like my best friend was born in Jeff was born in December, and I'm born in May. So he's December 91. I was May 92. We were in the same year. And it's crazy. Like Mac Miller comes out and he's like younger than Jeff and older, but like older than me. It's interesting. Like I always thought like, oh, he's like what I could have been if I was like different. Because like by the time, because he started putting out music like the summer I left high school. And because it was like 2010. I found him really, really early for the silliest reason. Because a friend of mine was like, yo, there's this rapper who has a song and it samples fireflies. You know?
Okay.
And it's the song, it's one of the songs on Kids.
Yeah.
And I just heard that. I'm like, oh, this is really, really good. And then it's like, oh, no, this guy's like actually like an artist. Like he's not just a guy doing like a bit on YouTube. Like
he's legit.
Yeah, he's actually making music. So after that, I've already started like listening to him and everything, and it was from there when Kids came out. It was in the run up to Kids that I got in. When Kids came out, that's when I learned how to use DatPiff. And from there on, man, he was
I was about to say
he was my favorite artist for years at that point. Like I remember being up at midnight watching DatPiff crash, trying to download the DatPiff, the Big Day. Not the Big Day. Best Day Ever. Very similar. Very similar. Extremely.
Which actually, very similar.
Very similar title.
Well, I guess I should ask then, since you grew up with him, basically, what are your favorite tracks, your favorite albums? Because you got to hear it at the moment.
Yeah. I think my favorite album of his, and because I thought about it, I had this conversation with a friend of mine today, because his favorite artist is Mac Miller. Mm-hmm. And shout out Patrick. So we were talking, and I'm like, my favorite is absolutely watching movies with the sound off.
Okay. I feel like, I remember you saying that before.
Yeah, watching movies with the sound off is definitely my favorite of his project. I like.
Does it have one of your favorite songs?
It's hard to say, because I think so. Like, I think Objects in the Mirror is probably my favorite Mac Miller song. But I also really like Loud off Macadelic. Macadelic is probably
I was about to say Loud is so good.
Yeah. A lot of the songs off Blue Side Park, his first album. Something I want to get to is I actually don't think everything Mac has done has aged great. You know what I mean? Which is fine. Like, that's part of growing.
Literally. And it shows in his career.
And what's really interesting about Mac is like not all of his old stuff has aged poorly. So he had a first mixtape before Kids, but I don't remember the name of it, and it's not. I remember going back and listening to it like during the pandemic. It was just very like try hard, very much like this guy wants to be Wiz Khalifa. Like, I don't think it ages very well, but Kids I think does 100%.
Yes,
I think Kids like to this day like definitely like, oh, this is some really dope shit. And Best Day Ever, I think, is, I think all these projects are good. I just think some of them, you could tell that he had yet to mature, and he was maybe chasing trends like a little bit.
And to be fair, at his age and where he was at,
he's 18.
In his career, like it makes sense. Like
it's 18,
and that's kind of what I was saying. Like his experiences carry with him.
And like, let's not undersell like how absolutely popular he was, because he was a huge crossover act, which is probably the thing I respect about Mac Miller the most. Is not necessarily like his music, which is incredible, but also fucking just how well he evolved and swam through the culture, right? Mm-hmm. But when he was first blowing up, he was like one of the first like big crossover hip hop acts. Like, I remember listening to an interview with him where he would do a bunch of college tours, and a bunch of colleges were like, yeah, you're the first hip hop act we ever booked.
Which is very humbling.
Yeah, that's humbling. And the thing I respect about him so much is that he did not. I think a lesser man would have heard that and it would have gone to his head. But his response was almost like shock and horror. Because he's like, there are so many great rappers. Why am I the first? Like, and I think it's pretty clear that as incredible as an artist Mac was, he was very palatable to like white audiences.
Yeah. That's true.
And I think that's the reason. And the fact that that kind of horrified him and he was very open about not liking that, that's something I completely respect. Now, what
I
about
didn't
you?
even
Like,
know
what?
all that.
Yeah, no, and that's something we can talk about because I think his transition is very, very. I think it's interesting because you have like right around the time that Blue Side Park came out, you could feel that he started the transition and he started to make
Yes.
much, much more serious music. And like, there's like a hard pivot, and then there's like a gradual maturation that eventually peaks with swimming in circles.
Yeah. I was
And
actually going to say what I was thinking definitely aligns with that.
yeah,
Because for me, like, I was always listening to Mac Miller, like, catching up. Like, you guys would listen to it as it dropped, but, like, for me, it was going back to finally listen to him. Like, I would listen to one of his mixtapes 2, maybe 3 years after it actually came out, or something like that. So for me, it was easier to analyze it as an after effect and like categorize it. And like you said, it is a very clear cut. Like once you reach watching movies with the sound off, like I consider it's two different careers.
it
Like he has
very much.
almost right. It's almost like a college frat boy. Like you said, he wasn't taken seriously.
Yeah,
And then there's like a pivot to like wait, this is like an insightful, like thoughtful person. Like his experiences are valid and like tell a much deeper meaning that shows off in his like character and his attitude.
yeah, 100%. And that I think like his character is exactly like why I think he was so endeared to people. Also, if we're talking about favorite tracks, Self Care.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
Self Care. I don't know if it's like the highest energy vibe song or the lowest energy hype song. Who's to say? But am I right? Like,
It's one of the two.
yeah, it's got to be one of the two. God, I'm gonna.
Also,
That's immediately stuck in my head now.
I was gonna say also to add on to that song and why that song is so dope because I know you know this. He makes a reference to Pulp Fiction, or not Pulp Fiction. He makes a reference to Kill Bill
Yeah,
in the actual music video. So good,
dude,
so good.
incredible. So, do you have like a favorite album or favorite track from like the first half, and then a favorite album and track from the second half?
Yes. So from the first half, I would probably do Best Day Ever just because I heard it so much. And Best Day Ever was on the same, how should I say it? Maybe not as strong or on the same high as a level, but it had the same impact to me as something as like Day and Night. Like those low key songs that just kind of stay with you.
Yeah,
It's more of a comforting song, if anything. It's not a hype song. It's a remembrance song. Like it holds itself to a core memory. So I would say that would probably be from the first
I
half.
really like that answer. That's a really good answer.
Yeah, and then the second half, I was really really good or really into Good AM. Don't ask me why. I just was. I think the entire album is really good. I don't want to say the song Weekend because that's like the insanely overly played one. But probably I would say Perfect Circle Godspeed is so good. Like one of the low key songs. It's two songs in one. I love it.
Wow. All right, I would say because I want to do this too because this is fun. I would say first half of his career, favorite album is probably Kids,
Okay.
and my favorite track on that is man, it is hard to say because once again, Kids I think holds up really really well. It has a few like really really sugary sweet like pop songs like Knock Knock and Don't Mind If I Do, but I think it's Kool Aid and frozen pizza. That's all it is.
So
It's Kool
good.
Aid and frozen pizza. Never mind.
So
That's what it
good.
is. It's not hard at all. Uh, and for the second half of his career, I'm gonna cut it between my favorite album is definitely watching movies with the sound off.
hmm
But now that I think about it, is no, no, definitely. Oh, Red Dot Music. Holy shit, that's a great song with Action Bronson.
There you go. He's
Yeah,
back up.
The Divine
Bring it back
Feminine,
up.
Dang with Anderson Paak. That's an extremely good song. Divine Feminine
Mhm.
is probably my second favorite of his in the second half of his career. I think like
This
I think the one that just didn't stick for me, like the one that kind of took the momentum out, if anything, was kind of Good AM, which is crazy.
really.
I know because like I go back, I listen to it now, and I'm like, why did this happen? But like
I
I think like it was just at the time, like I was enamored with other artists. Like
was gonna
my
say, to be fair, go ahead.
yeah, just because like you burn really hot on an artist for a little bit, and then they just become like part of your repertoire. And it was just by the time like Mac Miller came out, like I wasn't exactly fucking with that album. And at the time it came out, I have gone back and re-listened to it over the last few years, and it's like a really great song, like a really great album. 100 Grandkids, incredible song.
Yes, yes, it is.
But I think that just kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. But obviously, like going back, like shit's fucking incredible.
I mean, it makes sense. I would say, at least looking at one of your favorites, the Watch Moves with the Sound Off, and then jumping to the Divine Feminine and the rest of the albums, that one probably stands out the most. I would say,
It's
in terms of
definitely
just
yeah.
being different, not in a bad way or anything,
No, no,
but
not in a
that
bad
definitely
way.
makes sense.
And I think it's definitely important that if there's any artist that like when we talk about different but not in a bad way, I think it's Mac Miller because the dude was all over the place. But like once
Right.
again, not in a bad way. Like I just saw he was very hungry to explore, like just like hungry to
Different
explore
avenues.
different creative outlets, and I fuck with
Yeah.
that heavy.
And the thing is, he did it and did it very well, which does not happen often.
Yeah,
It, only a very select few have such a hard pivot. The only people that come to mind that have hard pivots like this is of course Kanye. Kanye has
has a
multiple
few,
pivots in
yeah,
his career.
multiple pivots.
Right. Tyler the Creator has an insane pivot and does phenomenal in both parts of his career.
Yeah, I got a couple in my
I would
head.
say those two. Okay, let's hear yours.
The Weekend,
Okay,
you could definitely. There's definitely a pivot after Starboy.
where it kind of turns more.
Cinematic, more pop, more bringing in that
Hmm.
80s sounds. And the
For sure.
other one is Childish Gambino.
I low key was thinking him, but
Yeah.
just his career isn't that long.
He just isn't as prolific as the other ones. But it's certainly a lot. I think Max and Tyler specifically are like the most obvious.
Yeah.
But I think Childish's is more like maybe less in terms of like aesthetics and more in terms of just quality.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like with Tyler and Mac, like I definitely prefer the music in their later half of their career. The especially with Mac, like the earlier stuff is not bad by any stretch. It just gets better.
Mhm.
I don't exactly fuck with a lot of early Tyler stuff, but it's not bad. Whereas like I think like a lot of the early childish stuff is like not is not good.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is fair.
But so let me ask, you've never really followed like have you ever seen like the really famous like interview he had with Vince Staples?
I don't believe so.
So he had like this really really interesting interview or conversation I guess with Vince Staples, and that's where he really broke down like not break down as in like an emotional breakdown, but where he really like goes over because I think this was around the time that like I don't know a year or two before he died,
Okay.
and he's reflecting on the early parts of his career, and he talks about like all the stuff he talked about, not really liking how he was viewed as like this safe white alternative to hip hop, where like he really saw himself as like being someone relevant and respectful of hip hop. And as far as like, because like that conversation about like, can white rappers be relevant and respectful of hip hop? I think Mac Miller's as good of an example as you're gonna get.
Hmm.
Save maybe LP, but
Right.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how a lot of his career growth was not by maturation like Tyler the Creator, but like conscious self expression, right? Like we talk about how he started making different albums, but he did that because he kind of wanted to shake the fan base he had gotten with the first ones.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because I don't know anyone who was like, I know plenty of people who were not super into like Max Slater stuff and kind of fell off him when he wasn't the hot new thing anymore. But I don't know anyone who like turned on him. You know what I mean? I don't know anyone who like listened to his later stuff and like were like, oh no, this stuff sucks. It was just like, a lot less of their musical bandwidth,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I was gonna say, yeah, 100%. And it's interesting that you say like no one like really turned away from him because I was actually gonna mention in terms of artists that I know. In my opinion, Mac Miller is probably one of the most well liked person in the industry.
Oh,
And so,
100%.
yeah, I was just gonna ask you in terms of like just his influence. Where do you place him at? Like,
Influence, I think the dude is hugely influential, but I also think like it's also very hard to say because I think it's too soon to really really see it.
yeah,
Yeah, but like like if we're looking at like a very like diehard like kind of like objective example, like look at someone like Kevin Abstract. Not just because his music really calls back to Mac Miller, and if you look at a lot of his stuff like pre Brockhampton, especially like All American Boyfriend, it really does have strong Mac Miller influences. But like
hmm,
also Mac Miller was the first person to take him on tour. So that's like a
right.
more
You can
hard
see
that's
how
a
it
hard and
goes.
fat like that's a endorsement. Like that's Mac.
That's literally.
Yeah, that's a literal endorsement from the guy. So but as far
So
as his
yeah,
influence, I think all a lot of like the younger rappers who I think are coming out and they want to see, they want to combine all these different like eclectic sounds into something that is very, I don't want to use the phrase like likable because I don't want it to seem vapid, but just very likable. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Brockhampton. Think about how many different genres go into Brockhampton, but it's also just like a very, very easy like music to listen to and really easy to enjoy. And I think
yeah,
like that's the quality that Mac Miller is going to have on people. It's going to invite people to make this very approachable, enjoyable music without having to fear like not utilizing your creativity. You don't have to choose. You don't have to choose between being one of the most creative artists and one of the most well liked artists. You can be both, and I think that's the thing Mac Miller like proves. That's his
yeah.
legacy.
I think that's very well spoken. That's a great way to put it. And I was thinking along the exact same lines because you can already see how impactful he's been to so many individuals to truly be themselves. I would consider like when you think of people like Mac Miller as an artist, it's obviously the music comes first. But to like a lot of individuals in the industry, just like who knew him personally or just in his fan base, like he's almost a guidance counselor.
Yeah,
Um, he does a really good job at focusing on people and how they feel and really putting value to an individual's thoughts because he had to, like you said, he had to prove himself and he expresses himself so well without fearing of like pushback or anything like that. And it's just a very lovable, likable person. And his impact has improved so many other artists' careers, if not like professionally, just like personally, like just like happiness, like the joy you can bring in having friendship.
yeah, 100%. And like if we're talking about, because it is interesting, because Mac Miller is like almost the poster boy for artists who came up on social media.
Hmm.
I mean, can you think of someone who launched like like an artistically successful career off social media before Mac Miller?
I'm trying to think.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I think that's like another part of his legacy, you know. And in that regard, I think like he has been hugely influential on people like Chance the Rapper, who took like that and did it to the nth degree.
Hmm.
But And it's interesting because he was on all these different platforms. He was on Twitter. He was on Vine. I don't know if you remember his Vines with Schoolboy Q, but they were
Oh, they were
cinematic masterpieces. And
funny.
their banter on Twitter, the greatest thing of all time. I miss
That's the
it.
friendship you want to have. Like
That's
that's the
our
friendship you
first
want to
off.
be.
That's our friendship. Second off,
Yes, that is also
my
true.
favorite one is like when Mac Miller is telling people that if they actually like Schoolboy Q's album, it's because he wrote it. And Schoolboy Q's like, oh, so you admit to saying the N word?
Yeah, yeah, I do remember
Yeah.
that.
And
There's
like,
videos of them like messing around and hanging out.
dude,
Like it's amazing.
they were the Troy and Abed of hip hop. Like, I don't think
Wow.
they were
Yeah.
the best friends
Wow.
of hip hop. Like,
Wow. Literally the true and out bit of hip hop. That's
yeah,
a
like
great
they
way to
were
put
the
it.
great ones, you know. And it is interesting because
It,
like he was, especially other ones, like in other capacities, he was known for just like his impact on people around him,
mhm.
you know. And
And I just think that's amazing how amazing, or not
yeah,
to repeat myself, but it's really dope to see an artist make a bigger impact through friendship and connections.
yeah,
Because it takes you out of the music aspect. You kind of forget these people are human,
yeah, 100%.
and you see all these great friendships. Him and Wiz Khalifa, him and Schoolboy Q,
Yeah,
him and El Sweatshirt. Like there's so many people
yeah, him and Vince
that
Staples,
were truly, yeah, affected by it.
100. Yeah, exactly.
And even going a step further, and that's another topic I wanted to bring up eventually. His relationship with Ariana Grande
Yeah, I mean,
was like
it was all over the
I don't
place.
even know where to start. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
and
say I don't even know where to start.
you know me, like I'm just someone who is very disconnected from that side of this culture, but even I couldn't
Hmm.
avoid it.
Yeah, and
You know,
they were an amazing couple for each other. They truly supported each other, and
yeah,
it's very rare that you see people in the industry, celebrities, date each other, and it actually works.
yeah. I mean,
And I can name countless people where it doesn't.
yeah, exactly, including like previous or not previous, but people who have dated Ariana Grande, like
Mm-hmm.
you
I'm
know,
about to say her herself.
yeah. But it's once again, like I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how like it almost felt like maybe even like to a bad degree, he was completely exhumed in the culture.
Hmm.
You know, so I gotta be honest, I just don't have much to say on that aspect. So like, if you do, great. I know
The one thing
I
that I would
respect
say,
Ariana Grande as an artist. I think she's extremely talented.
right, the one thing I would say, at least in terms of her impact on his musical career, that I want to like kind of brush over, is just the entire album, the Divine Feminine.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Was all inspired by her.
yeah, I was going to say it's
Yeah,
literally
okay.
about her,
That's
and
an
that
extremely
alone
good
is a
point.
big part. Yeah, it's a big part of his discography, and
It's also like
I feel like it was one of his true like R&B love like kind of albums. If it was the closest thing you could make one,
it's an extremely good album, man. That is an
it's
extremely good album.
I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Yeah, dude. And it also it handles with this reverence for femininity that you just don't see, and it's bold, and that's interesting, and I love it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess I overlooked that, and it's kind of crazy because like if you look, especially like his last four albums, Divine Feminine is clearly my favorite, but it's also the one I forget all the time, and I don't know why.
Well, this one it's about an hour long. It's 10 songs.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of deeper songs,
yeah,
so it may not like click in the front
yeah,
of your head all the time.
yeah.
There's
They're
two or three
not
songs here that are
banging the
like
whip
8 minutes
songs.
long. Right. Like these are sit down like this is the album that I would listen to after listening to Blind, for example.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it is.
I'm trying to tell you, bro. Yes.
Yeah, that's 100% true. God, I'm gonna re-listen to this tonight. Oh, they have the masters on title. Bet that's what I'm
No,
doing.
you're lying.
Did they have the
No
masters
way.
for like all of his music?
That's who I haven't listened to.
Yeah,
Wow.
circles, swimming, divine feminine, good AM, colors and
Yeah.
shapes.
That's gonna be this weekend. It's funny. One of my friends is probably the biggest Mac Miller fan I've ever seen in
And
my life. I'm
Faces.
pretty sure he has a tattoo. What happened? Oh, faces? Oh
And
yeah.
Faces is a master too.
That he has like a tattoo. I'm pretty sure Mac Miller. He once said he would die if he could give Mac Miller like a second chance at life. So he's a big fan, and I know he asked me about all the albums that was in title. So
Yeah.
how did I forget about this?
Yeah. Man, it's really hard to reflect upon his death and not see how that's going to impact his legacy. And just like,
Okay.
do you think like he's enshrined? Like, do you think like just like the fact that he went out so tragically and so early after having just such a impactful career, I think he is beloved now, but we're like, there's no way he gets less beloved.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
literally
think he's
impossible.
going.
So the
Yeah.
only question is like, do you think there's going to become a time when we call it like we talk about him like in an all timer?
Would hope so. It's hard to say it. I feel like if it's handled correctly going forward by its estate, then I think he will go down as one of the greats, or at least deserve to be. I would say that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the topics I wanted to break down as well.
Yeah.
How his estate handled it very, very like well.
Yeah, I would
A lot of
say.
people out there like it happened in Juice World a little bit. It's not as bad.
Yeah.
And then XXX and Tentacion, like it is terrible.
Yeah.
Like the way they handle their music after they die.
Yeah. And yeah, let's talk about this and then we can talk about like the wave of young artists dying. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think I remember hearing that Mac Miller's mom said that they're not putting out any more albums after Circles.
And I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
If that is
I
true,
think like
I honestly am happy.
I don't think maybe short of like someone like Mac's mom or Ariana writing a book about him, I don't think we get like anything else about Mac Miller, which is why I think his legacy is so interesting. Because that's not how it usually happens. I think he's almost like set in stone. Well, not necessarily because
Which
like
is good.
because culture is fluid and it can change even if he does it. But I think his impact on it is as set in stone, you know, as much as it can be.
Yeah.
Uh,
I do agree with that.
and you know, I think another artist who so far who has been treated pretty respectfully posthumously, it was Pop Smoke.
I have to think about that.
Well,
So far it's been okay.
yeah,
They've came close.
yeah, a few of the features, but I think more along the lines of knowing how far along that first album, like I think it was the only album they've dropped posthumously. Like knowing how close to done that was, I do feel at that point it is the respectful thing to finish it. Like that's what you should do.
Hmm.
I think it's different to like what's going on with XXX, where people are just like
That's
scraping for everything to be able to attach themselves to that. Now, first off, I'll be honest, I do not get the love for XXX.
So we've actually discussed this before recently
Did we?
because I didn't realize. I think the album question mark, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
it is number one like stream hip hop album. It just passed Drake's. So I don't understand how the fan base is still so insanely strong.
Yeah, I don't
Like
get it. First
I
off,
do
like
like him, man.
I just don't. Like there's a handful of songs that I liked, but for the most part, I thought he was not very interesting, right? Like the only thing I could say is that I think he was bringing in maybe energies and vibes from other genres of music into hip hop successfully in a way that other artists aren't. Specifically like the raw anger and aggression of like punk music, which I know he had always said was like a huge influence on him. But I just don't think it's very good, man. It's like when I would listen to it, I'm like, oh, I can listen to either better hip hop or like a better example of this. I think it's one
What
thing
would
when
you
an
say would be a
artist,
better answer?
huh?
I'm curious. what would you say would be better? I'm curious.
What do you mean better?
Or like a better example
What do you mean like a better example of what?
of XXX. You're saying like there's better examples of
Oh,
this.
like Ski Mask,
Okay. Okay.
Denzel Curry, that South Florida sound, absolutely better examples. And if you want like that really hard thing, go listen to some Black Flag. Go listen to some fucking, I don't know, Fugazi or like any of those like artists that he was. It's hard to say. I don't like to use the phrase ripping off because first off, like people do rip people off, and XXX wasn't ripping people off, but he was wearing his influence on his sleeve, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was called out for it as much because I don't know how familiar his target audience was with punk music. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
I
called
was
out,
gonna say that part makes more sense.
yeah,
Okay.
and
Because in my opinion, I was gonna say I feel like it. Honestly, I truly feel like he's one of a kind, and I think he did bring in
he's a one of a kind
the right
combination. But
demographic to listen to his music.
sure, but I just
'Cause,
don't.
like for his crowd is typically a more depressing, more dark side of characteristics,
Very
and so I
very
feel like
very emo.
right.
But if we're talking about people who died young and had posthumous records, if I'm going to listen to emo rap, I want to listen to Little Peep. You know, like I thought he did it way, 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 way better, and I don't even think his stuff was particularly good. I just think it was promising.
You know, I don't know.
The
I
only thing is
disagree. I
that
said the exact
Little
opposite.
Peep
I did
is.
not like Little Peep.
I think the difference is like Little Peep is very much like much closer to like sounding like actual like emo music.
Okay, that
But I just think he did it better, and like I just don't think he's unique. And the other thing is like when a shitty human being makes really, really good art, like it's hard,
yeah,
but
that's the other thing. Yeah.
I do think you can separate those things. My official position is that as long as you acknowledge what the shitty person is doing and why it's bad, then there's nothing wrong with loving the work they make, no matter what it is. But
Okay.
when their work is, in my opinion, not that good, it becomes much harder to separate art from artists.
Okay.
You know, and I
I
think that's
get in line with
I
that.
think that's a thing that we just don't talk about. Like I think it's easier to separate the art from the artist when it's someone who's doing something interesting, or if we're keeping it real, just someone you like.
And I was low key when you were speaking about that one person. I would say is somewhat similar in the same category. At least for me, would be Kanye. Like I do not like a lot of things that Kanye
You know,
does,
like
and I feel like he causes a lot of negative attention around himself, at least publicity wise. But regardless, at the end of the day, if he's making exceptional music, I'm going to listen to it.
well, no. Here's the thing. I kind of want to push back on that because I actually think I actually don't like that comparison, right? Because
Okay.
I agree that Kanye does a lot of negative things. I think he does a lot of stupid things. I think he does a lot of bad things. I think he does a lot of harmful things. I think he has done some harmful things, right? But
Okay.
I don't think anything Kanye did is in the same league as beating up a pregnant.
Oh, yes,
I
of
don't think it's
course.
the same
I was
league.
not
I
putting
don't
it at
think
that
it's the
level.
same division.
No.
I don't think it's the same fucking sport. And I think specifically with Kanye, I think people are really, really quick to put him in with a lot of people who are just not comparable. Look, I'm a huge fan of Michael Jackson, but comparing the bad things Kanye has done do not compare to the bad things Michael Jackson has done. You know, so I just remember seeing some people who I think are pretty culturally out of touch say shit like, "Oh, I get why people like Michael Jackson because they came up with it, but you know, because you grow up with it, you love it, and then it's hard to separate. But like, why would you support Kanye?" And it's like Kanye wore a red hat and voiced support for a bad president. Michael
Right. It
Jackson
is very different.
did some awful fucking shit, and if you can't see that, you need to go work some shit out. Or real
No, you
talk,
make a good point.
you might be a little bit fucking racist. Like, so that's my point back. It's like, yeah, does Kanye do a lot of very negative, very stupid, and bad shit? Yeah, but let's not compare him with people who assault people who assault pregnant women, people who attract, who prey on children. He's not in the same regard. and it's fucked up that people are so eager to put him there.
I guess that's true.
Sorry for my
That is
rant
true.
about Kanye, people, but that's something I legitimately can't wrap my mind around. Like, it's okay to not like the dude. He's very unlikable.
Yeah.
uh, but so there's another artist I know is near and dear to your heart who passed very similarly to Mac Miller. It does kind of seem like you can kind of like divide this epidemic of just like young artists passing away too soon. You can divide it into like people who have died of drug overdoses, like Mac and Juice World and Peep, and people who have died of violence, which is XXX, Pop Smoke, King Von. So I say let's focus on the hard drug side because I think that's something
Mhm.
I've had experiences with that in my personal life. I feel a little bit more comfortable discussing that. So do you see a through line between like these people's work, especially in like their final days? As morbid
I
as
would
that sounds.
say no. I mean, but in reality, it is important to kind of highlight that it was during their final days because they are dying due to drug overdoses and drug related incidents. And so, with that being said, it was their later days, and the drugs did influence their later music. I think there is a direct connection to the people that you mentioned that are on like the hard drugs and how their music comes out and relates. Luckily enough for Mac Miller, it came out relatively positive in my opinion because he was coming out on the later end of addiction. It seemed,
Yeah, and
and
that's
that's what really sucks about it.
that's the thing. Like, because I lost my older brother to a heroin overdose, very similar to Mac.
Hmm.
Uh, and that's when it happens. It happens when you're mostly clean because heroin's very potent, especially because like I don't know if fentanyl was involved. It was involved in my personal life, but like you're used to like a certain amount from when you're an addict, and that amount will kill you when you're clean. And
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't think about
yeah,
that.
because heroin, the danger of heroin is that it's cheap, and you build up a tolerance really, really, really quick.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um. And yeah, that's the way of it, and that's why when it happened, it really, really hit me emotionally. And correct me if I'm wrong. We were in the same place. Like
Yeah,
we
I'm
were
pretty
together
sure
when
we
we
were.
found out about it. And
Yeah.
like I don't even mean we were both in the blue store. I think you were like next to me when our phones were blowing up.
Right. And
So
it was very, very, very heartbreaking.
it probably the most heartbreaking celebrity death in my adult life. Maybe there was one celebrity death where I cried, and I don't think I cried over Mac. As I reflect on it, like the other one was Leonard Nimoy. He was the guy who plays Spock in the original Star Trek. Uh, so when he passed, I was very emotional. And but Mac is the one who I just find myself like literally like in my room at night being like, "Fuck, man, it sucks that we lost Mac Miller."
Yep, I would say him and Kobe are the two biggest deaths of my life so
It,
far.
oh my God, Kobe too. Like
Yeah, yeah, like those
Jesus
two
Christ,
are
and
the
talk about a
biggest ones.
tragedy, right? Like,
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
dude, yeah, it's. But I think the thing that does give me some respite, because we definitely think about death extremely differently. But I think we can both
Hmm.
agree having that final circles come out to kind of close the book on it. It felt right. Would you agree?
I do agree
You know?
completely. Like that's what I said. And if I am doing my research correct, he was pretty much already done with circles already before he had passed away, and it just needed some, some final touches to make it able to go public and post. And I just feel like that last album, or the last two albums, Swimming in Circles, was a perfect, like, close to his career. Of course, you don't want it to career, or you don't want his career to end, but it was a perfect ending. And like you said, where you're you can see in a couple of years he can be in a conversation of a GOAT because he had such a clean career and a clean ending.
That yeah, it was a bookend. It felt like a book being
Yeah.
closed, and it felt like okay, now we have. It felt like Mac got his closure in a weird way, and you know, I want to resist the urge to like not to downplay his death. I don't think I'm going to, but that's something I want to not do. Uh, when I was listening to Swimming in Circles the first time, because swimming I liked a lot, but it grew on me. It grew on me a lot in between its release and Mac's death.
Mhm.
But when you listen to Circles, it feels like he's transitioning almost out of hip hop, almost like more of a singer songwriter kind of feel. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
wonder if we had not gone through this tragedy and if he was still around, like would the music he's releasing, I know it would have been incredible. I know we would have loved it, but would we have called it hip hop?
Mm,
Who's to say?
yeah.
I think that's an interest. I think that's like the only lingering question.
Man, it really sucks that he's gone.
Man, we've been talking about Mac Miller for an hour.
I'm literally like sitting there just thinking about it now.
Nah, it's hard, man. It's hard. And also, I'm just gonna take a moment to say this because like it's very personal issue to me. If you're someone who's struggling with abuse, reach out. Do what you have to do to stay alive because there are people in this world who will miss you if you're gone, and you should definitely do whatever you can. I understand like the vice grip it can have on you, and I don't downplay it, and I'm not here to judge. But whatever you need to do to get clean, if there's anything we can do, email it.
Honestly,
No. Well,
I think that's a good way to close it
yeah, I
out.
think we should close the book on this. But Mac won't be the last time we talk about him on this podcast. We'll certainly be
Oh
doing a
no.
deep dive into at least a handful of his albums over the course of the next few years, I say. So, one of the greats,
Yeah.
man. One of the greats.
All right. Well,
All right.
let's
Let's do
let's do our
recommendations.
suggestions.
Let's do our
Yeah.
suggestions. And I got to keep it real with you. I just started thinking about this like, ooh, I don't know.
3 minutes ago.
Uh,
Yep.
not that much, but yeah.
Nah, I just thought about it maybe like 5 minutes ago. I was like, oh, what have I been
You
listening
know
to?
what? Actually, no, I got it. I'm actually good. I know exactly which ones I want to recommend.
You go first.
Okay, so the first one I want to recommend is after that single, 100 Chicago's, my
Oh yeah.
music listening has been dominated by Lupe Fiasco. And, going back to all the classes, the cool, Food and Liquor, Food and Liquor 2. But the one that really stuck out was actually a song off Tietzo and Youth, which is one of his more opaque albums, and it's called Made in the USA. And man, that shit goes hard. Hard,
Okay.
my friend. Hard.
Okay. I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
You should listen to it
I haven't
right away.
listened to some Lupe in a minute.
Dude, so good. Extremely good. You're going to love it.
It's just the thing is, anytime you go back and listen to like Lupe or someone like Lupe, you want to listen to the like with the best
You
stuff.
want to listen to
Obviously.
his classics. I know.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Look, it happens, but trust me, you will not be upset.
All right.
All right, you go.
What I've been listening to more, I think 2 or 3 days ago, I said something insane in my head, and I like double checked myself very quickly. But I don't know why, but I was really in a Drake phase. I
Oh
was just
no.
listening to some old Drake. But I eventually made my way up to his recent stuff, the Dark Lane demo tapes. No,
Oh
it's more of just
wow.
like a collection of stuff. The song Landed is so good. It
Extreme.
is such a vibe.
Wow.
And I do not want to receive any hate for recommending a Drake song.
No, you won't. Drake's pretty. Our audience is mostly people over the age of 25, so I think you're going to be pretty safe. All right. Next one I'm going to do off a recent album, off Kavinsky's Reborn, is the song Vigilante. It's a synth pop song. It's very like I sent you that song and you were like, man, this sounds just like Dawn FM.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the same album, but the only way I can describe it is it's like dark and like very imposing. It sounds like some shit that the latest version of Batman would listen to in a car chase. Yeah, so it's incredible. As far as vibes go, I don't think any album this year will top Kavinsky's Reborn. And this song is just like
that's big.
yeah, no, it's but the thing is that like when you're working in like especially that very dark electronic music that's not focused on dancing, like you have all the room in the world for vibes. You don't have to have room for bars. You don't have to have like people aren't showing off their drumming skills or anything like that. It's just vibes.
It's really all you need.
Yeah.
What I would recommend then, my second song, just because like after the women's podcast, I really need to go back and listen to Beyonce because I realized she has a lot of music, like a lot of music.
Yeah.
But I went back to listen to Superpower featuring Frank Ocean.
Oh wow!
And surprisingly, yeah, this is super low key. Like this is one of the lower stream songs in the entire album. But man, is it good!
Wow. All right. That's a good call. That is a really, really good call.
Mm-hmm. Trying to tell you.
All right. My next one, I'm actually gonna throw it all the way back. All the way back, Purvis. To the year 2011. And with a song by Pusha T and Tyler the Creator called Trouble on My Mind. With the Pusha T's dropping his album soon. He's been dropping singles. On to go back. And then I realized, like, oh wow, I've been actually listening to Pusha T for like 11 years now. I always feel like I'm not that into Pusha T until Pusha T drops it. It's like, Rude Boy, cocaine time.
Okay, that's a good song also. I haven't listened to it in a while, but that is a good song.
All right, wrap us up, my friend.
Okay, one of the last song I would recommend, and it's actually not an old one. This song is the song Lemonade by Gunna, Don Toliver, and Nav.
Wow.
And it was it's like a summer song. I think it came out in the summer at least. And shut up. It's a great song. Well, all of them kill it.
Is there a way to listen to it without Nav?
Brandon, do you know this almost has 1 billion plays?
I don't care. Do you know which restaurant serves?
Admit that he's good.
Do you know what? Okay, do you know what restaurant serves the most people? McDonald's. Do you think McDonald's is good?
Okay, you're not going to sit here and attack McDonald's like something's wrong with McDonald's.
That's fair. I love McDonald's, dude.
Exactly.
Dude, I would fucking kill for some McNuggets right now. All right, guys. That's the end of this podcast. I need to go get some McNuggets.